Hello, friends and families. Welcome to the EDUCA DPS Podcast, where we inform families and connect communities. My name is Javier Ibarra, your host of the English version of this podcast. Today in the EDUCA studio, we have Dr. Jamie Fiorenza, Director of Career and Technical Education at Denver Public Schools. Our topic will be about the ins and outs of career and technical education, also known as CTE, and we'll be learning together why it is such an innovative educational approach, one that provides students with practical skills and knowledge they need to pursue specific career paths. So I strongly suggest that you stick around through the end of this podcast because our topic is one that is very important for our young listeners, and we'll also be diving into how DPS is planning to build upon the CTE program in the very near future. But first, let's get to know a little bit about Dr. Fiorenza and her journey through Denver Public Schools. Dr. Fiorenza, welcome to the EDUCA DPS Podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today.
I am excited about this topic today because it is a topic that I think maybe not a lot of folks know about, and if they know about it, they want to know more. And so that's what we're going to be doing here today. And so just for our audience, I want to give a quick topic background around this.
Great.
And starting with our career and technical education, or CTE, provides students with an academic and technical skills, knowledge, and training necessary to succeed in future careers and development skills that they will use throughout their entire career. CTE prepares students for the world of work by introducing them to the workplace competencies and makes academic content accessible to students by providing it with a hands-on context, which I think we can all agree is very important. CTE is a great way for students to explore a variety of career options early and earn industry certifications prior to their graduation. And so with that, I want to start off by asking you, can you share a little bit about your role within the district? Why did DPS decide to create this role? And what is about this role that makes you motivated to show up to work every single day?
Absolutely, no problem. I currently have a title of CTE Director for DPS. That is within the Department of Career and College Success. A CTE director is someone who monitors programming and compliance of career and technical education programs within a district. The person holds a specific license in education. It is a director license of CTE, and they have experience in all things CTE. CTE in Colorado is governed by the Community College System of Colorado, and I work closely with them to determine eligibility, monitoring of programming, data submissions for all of our career and technical education pathways. And originally this position was created quite a few years ago. Vocational education started in DPS in 1976.
Wow.
And since then, there has always been someone who is considered to be in this role, whether or not the title was the same or not, and they monitor the documentation and all needs and items for the state compliance of CTE.
Very cool. So to give our audience a little bit about the overview, I want to ask, what exactly is CTE in your own words, and why is it important? Why is it important in general and specifically to our DPS students right here, right now in the year of 2024?
Sure. CTE is a way for students to obtain skills necessary for industry learning that is through their school and high school. Understanding of careers and the skills needed that are critical to our students to be able to see themselves in positions in the future and give them ideas of what careers are tailored to their own passions. CTE and DPS also allows students to obtain college credit and industry certifications in high school, which gives our students an advantage in the workforce or in post-secondary schooling. As a teacher and an administrator in Denver Public Schools, students are wanting and asking for training that they can use in their future for graduation. CTE is a way for students to pursue their passions and find relevance in their high school learning.
I think the subject of CTE is very interesting to me, and then for our audience too, right? Because I think we often hear and tell our students, go to college, right? Go to college, go to college, go to college. And I think for a while there, part of our mission statement here at DPS didn't include going to college. It included being productive members of society,
yes.
which I really thought was interesting, because that leaves room for our students who obviously want to go to college,
sure.
leaves room for our students that want to join the military and go down that route. But it also leaves room for our students who want to learn a technical craft. And I say a technical craft because I think it's an art form to do what they do, right? And I was in a past life doing advertising for the state of Montana. We were figuring out what was some of their pain points, and I learned that some of the companies out in Montana were paying $100,000 for their mechanics a year.
Wow.
And so that's where I learned that you don't necessarily have to go to college.
Yes.
You can make $100,000 turning a wrench. And that's actually 100%. The tagline that we use for the state of Montana. And so it blew me away. And so that's kind of where I was first introduced to CTE and what we got going on there. And for our folks listening in, I want to ask a clarifying question. Sure. Sometimes CTE is referred to as innovation at Denver Public Schools. Where does the word innovation come from, and why is it related to CTE?
Sure. Innovation is a word that is really just used to say that we're bringing new learning to students in Denver Public Schools. In DPS, we see innovation specifically as a way for students to use their foundational knowledge that they receive in coursework in their core classes and also apply that to skills used in the workforce. CTE is innovation that we will always create CTE pathways that align with high skill, high wage jobs in Colorado. And this is found through the Colorado Talent Pipeline, which is a yearly publication that is produced by the Department of Labor in Colorado.
Okay.
That details the growth for jobs in Colorado and the industry skills that are needed to obtain those careers. So our pathways always align to those particular jobs. These careers may change over time as the workforce needs change, and DPS will continue to evolve our CTE programming to meet those needs.
Is it safe to say that with that you're working perhaps with some AI, starting to introduce AI into your curriculum? Is that safe to say?
Absolutely. And not only can we integrate AI into almost every pathway in either the way that students do research or how they write out some of their documentation for some of these skills, but also we want to create fields for how students can actually learn to build AI and work in that industry.
Program AI.
That is correct. And so that is something that is on our radar, and that is something that hopefully will be soon to come.
This is what makes me really excited about working for Denver Public Schools. Earlier we talked about what gets you excited to get up every day. But for me, it's knowing that our students have opportunities that they just can't get anywhere else.
Yes.
Right? I think this is one of those, the work that you're doing, the work that your department is doing to ensure that our students are career ready, right? If they choose that, right?
Yes.
I think is phenomenal. The amount of doors you are opening up to our students so that they could have a very successful and thriving life is amazing. And so I wanted to point that out, because my next question leads into the history of CTE, right? And just for our folks at home, we're not talking about the brain injury that football players get.
That's correct.
This is correct.
Different. Same acronym.
Same acronym, yes, different. Just to be clear here. Can you share with us the origins of the CTE department at Denver Public Schools? Sure. When was established? How much growth have you seen? Just kind of give me a little bit of the history and where are we trending?
Sure. And before I start my answer to that, you mentioned if students choose their career. And we always say career and college success instead of college and career success, because we believe that career, no matter what, is the end goal.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
regardless if they want to go directly into their career or if they want to get more schooling and then go into their career, career is the end goal. So career is very important.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because grammatically it also should go before college.
Yes.
Right? So we're in comms.
We got to think about that.
Yeah, we're in comms, so naturally I would say career and college readiness.
So now back to your question.
Yes.
Sorry about that. As mentioned earlier, we talked about a little bit about vocational education. And vocational education did start in Denver Public Schools in 1976. That was when Career Education Center, or what we call CEC, the building, was originally erected and had career programming.
So way back when?
1976, yes. It has evolved and taken many forms since then. In the 90s, though, overall, the nation, not just DPS, CTE was actually seen, or vocational education, was seen as a detriment to students. It was actually one of the things that had a stigma around it, where students, particularly if they were not feeling like they could be successful in college, they were tried to put in a vocational education program, thinking that they would go straight into the workforce. With that push of every student should obtain college, it really pushed our students and our thinking to really gear every student towards college, and kind of career education started to fall down the wayside a little bit. We started to see a shortage in the technical workforce during that. And so what happened is in a nation, we really rebranded career and technical education. We gave it like a new name and a new pizzazz. It actually included increasing the amount of programming that is in CTE. So having students obtain the skills and putting them in these positions in high school created larger interest in the workforce, created a giving them an advantage per se to get into the workforce at an earlier age, and they found some meaning in their education. So this allowed students to graduate and save money. In post-secondary schooling, they can have an advantage in post-secondary schooling. They could have an advantage in going straight into the workforce. As far as trending goes, I do see a push nationwide for more career education. As schooling becomes more expensive and students want to get into the workforce right away and make money, it is becoming more and more popular, and there's a blend for pushing student education in their core classes with the technical skills and preparing them at an early age.
I want to point out something that you said in your answer, which was advantage. You mentioned that quite a bit. They have the advantage, they have the advantage. Again, this is what's separating our students from any other students, but our students from in career from any other person in their career, right?
That's correct, yes.
We are providing real industry experience to our students. And I think I have to admit, if these options were available when I was a student, I think I would have definitely gone a different route.
I say that every day.
Yes, because I see, so I've actually had the opportunity to walk through CEC and walk through some of the other programs, and a quick little misconception that I wanted to address that popped up was, is it just students that are males in these programs?
Not at all.
No.
So almost equally across the board, we have almost a 50-50 split between females and males. It ranges anywhere from construction trades or any other trade related to business and healthcare and education. And we have so many different varieties of CTE programming that it really is for everyone.
I keep seeing these TikToks of young women who are in traditionally male-dominated careers, but it has to do with the CTE stuff, where they're out here working construction. They're out here being mechanics,
Yes.
right? And I thought, how cool, how interesting that we are knocking these barriers down so that when we talk about equity here at DPS, we mean each and every student.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I just wanted to take that quick moment to address that so that our audience understands kind of what it looks like from the inside, right?
Yes.
What the student's perspective.
Absolutely.
Along with that, I want to know some of examples. Are there any highlights in career and technical education that you can share with us from this year? Any highlights from the last 4 years? In particular, I want to know, in 2020, we passed what's called a bond that provided funding for some CTE projects and allowed the programs to expand. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first, there's many highlights in CTE over the last year. But overall, I can say we're continuing to increase the number of industry certifications that are obtained by our students before graduation.
Wow.
That is really the key to this, giving them that success ahead of time. We've significantly increased also the college credits and the courses that students are obtaining in CTE pathways. And students are concentrating in these pathways, which then allows them to take multiple courses to obtain the certifications and the skills at a higher rate. Now, in 2020, we did have several projects that were supporting CTE within the bond. One major one was to provide STEM labs for all the middle schools that didn't previously have STEM labs. And STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. So it's a blend of a lot of different aspects to give students the skills necessary to be successful in high school and beyond. These STEM labs allowed the middle school students to begin exploring these skills and the careers, which can set them up for high school CTE programming and future careers and after graduation as well. In addition, we upgraded construction program at Legacy Options High School, modernized the automotive space at Career Education Center, or CEC, created a plant science program at Bruce Randolph with a building modifications for hydroponic growing, as well as an outdoor greenhouse that is still under construction. And the last piece, we remodeled several South Career and Technical Education spaces or rooms, classrooms. We did this for a more modern design that created more space inside to house more students. As the population is growing, the students in CTE, it's becoming more interesting and for those students and more popular, so we wanted to make sure we had the space to provide for that.
I want to highlight something real quick about South High School.
Yes.
So we did a story not too long ago where they were creating a solar panel car. So this car goes about 30 miles an hour, and they were hoping to go to the Kansas border and back.
Oh, wow.
Because of legal complications, they didn't end up doing that, obviously. But something that really stood out to me is the student said, we have identified how to recharge the battery while driving. Something that multi-billion-dollar electric car companies have not been able to do. And here's the kicker, he said, and we did that upstairs in our library.
That's amazing. And this is the innovation that our students are providing. It's amazing when you have students who can come up with things that, you're right, industry professionals are not seeing. And sometimes it is that little bit of curiosity in the student that will drive that interest for sure.
I also want to highlight some of the instructors that I've had an opportunity to meet, because these instructors are folks who have been in industry 25, 30 years, and they've decided to, for whatever reason, come back and teach our students and give back to our students. And so our students are learning from industry leaders that have 30, 25 years plus of experience. And so I just think the wealth of knowledge beyond the curriculum, right, that these students are getting from our instructors. So I wanted to give our instructors a quick shout out. But I want to look ahead, right, on the impact to all of our stakeholders. Right now, at the current time of this filming, October 2024, we are anticipating an election just about a month or a few weeks ahead from now, where there will be a ballot question asking Denver voters to invest in a $975 million bond for Denver Public Schools, which I might add that it's not going to increase taxes. Some of that money in this 2024 bond package is allocated towards innovation. Can you inform us, the public, everyone here who's listening, what the funding is for and what are the innovation centers? How do they support CTE students?
Absolutely, yes. Innovation and pursuit of passion for the 2024 bond will help us create 3 innovation centers specifically for CTE programming.
Mm-hmm.
These 3 centers will be located in 3 corners of Denver County. Mm-hmm. The 4th corner already has CEC Early College, which currently has programming that is very similar to what we're trying to design here.
Yes.
This allows students to come for half of the day from their home schools, participate in career programming. Mm-hmm. It's about 2.5-hour blocks, and they can concentrate in that and obtain an industry certification in 1 year, so after 2 semesters of this program. They will obtain 30 high school credits during that time. Mm-hmm. They will obtain college credits, and they will have the opportunity to sit for industry certifications, like I said, at the end of that. Currently, CEC offers this half-day programming. However, space is limited, and the distance sometimes can be a factor for some of our schools on the other side of town.
Sure.
So putting them in all 4 corners of Denver County allows the students to attend with less travel time.
Okay.
And in addition, the goal is to offer innovative and needed pathways that align to growing careers in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Many pathways will focus on sustainability fields, and this is a growing opportunity, obviously, in Denver and nationwide. And DPS is working with industry professionals in the areas to align the CTE pathways to industry need and certifications that will feed the workforce in those professions. We want to make sure that our students actually have opportunities to obtain jobs and programming in Denver if they're Denver graduates.
So let me pause real quick.
Sure.
What I'm hearing here is we're not only giving our students the opportunity to learn, we're giving them college credit, we're giving them industry certifications, but we're also linking them up with industry leaders who actively need people to fill these jobs. So it's safe to say that the success rate of these students learning something and then applying it and then entering a career is high.
Absolutely, that's our goal. If we work in partnership with the industries that are in the area, we know what their needs are. Mm-hmm. So we can tailor the program to make sure we're meeting those needs. So not only are they supporting us to make sure we're staying up to date with all industry standards,
sure,
we're also helping them because we're supplying them a workforce. Which
is, I know, very needed here in Colorado. Yes. I think I'm part of one of the last generations that, they still just said, go to college and you'll figure it out then, yes. Right? But I want to point out something because I know our time here is limited. When I was a student, people used to say, like, dream big, right? Dream big, dream big. Recently, I heard, if you can't see it, you can't dream it. And if you can't dream it, you can't be it, right? And so I think more than anything, right, you're giving these students an opportunity to see what the careers of the immediate future, mm-hmm. right, instead of the traditional careers that we might think of, right? Because yes. I think about that moment, and there's a funny internet meme that goes, where was this a career day? Where was this career during career day, right? And I think of so many different careers where you can make really good money but enjoy what you do.
Yes.
Right? I think I fall under one of the categories of students who really enjoys working with their hands. And for a long time, I worked these very odd jobs. But I think if I could have made a career out of it, if I would have learned about it early on in life, and if I would have had the confidence to go into the career and know that I know what I'm talking about,
yes.
I think would have changed the trajectory of my life.
Yes.
You would be sitting here with a different host. All right, so moving on to our engagement opportunities, what should folks who are interested to know more about CTE and CTE funding do next after listening to this very podcast?
Absolutely. So if you're a current DPS student, a family member of a DPS student, or even community members, and you want to learn more about CTE in general or CTE and DPS. There are a few links that will be available in the show notes that I've provided. Two major websites will be the state CTE website as well as ACTE, which is the Association for Career and Technical Education that is nationwide. Those two sites give you more information in depth. Also, the Perkins 5 Act is the federal grant and act that provides most of the funding for CTE. It is what designates career and technical education across the nation, and you can learn more about that in the act there. And then as far as Denver Public Schools, you can go to our college or career and college website, and it will have all the information on our current CTE programming, where you can search either by school to find out what schools have or what programming they have there, or you can search by program and determine which schools have the program you're interested in. And finally, if you want to learn more about the 2024 bond, we have a DPS bond website where you can learn more information and more information about the innovation centers as well.
So for our folks that are watching, we're going to put these links here on our show. For the folks that are listening, be on the lookout for those links on our show notes. But Dr. Fiorenza, I would be remiss if I didn't ask for you to just quickly list some of the career technical, I don't want to call them jobs, but careers that students can go, because I feel like we've been teasing this all episode, like, oh, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. Can you just name, just off the top of your head, name a few, just to entice people?
Let me tell you a few that we're trying to build for some of these centers.
There we go.
So they don't currently exist because we have like 26, 27 different types of pathways across DPS right now. However, we're looking at, and this is the innovative factor, aviation pilot.
Okay.
Aviation mechanics, potentially even air traffic control. Those are some that don't exist currently in Denver, but the workforce is saying we need it. Electric vehicle maintenance. That's something that we haven't developed yet here because that is a new and up and coming. We're going to hope to have a program running for that.
Yeah.
And then some of the sustainability ones that I mentioned earlier, potentially an energy pathway that really gives students an understanding of how we need to be more conservative with energy usage and potentially learn the skills to install solar panels on various entities. So something like that, as well as a sustainability and environmental science pathway, is also in the works. So that's just to name a few, and there's definitely much more to come. So check out the website and you'll be able to see a lot more of that information.
So for the folks listening and for the students watching, if this interests you, go onto the website, check it out, see it. And then for the Denver voters who are watching this episode, you can find more information at our Word Our Bond DPS. That link will be linked here on the show as well. And so before I let you go, Dr. Fiorenza, do you have a final message for us?
Absolutely. Students can take control of their career, and it starts in Denver Public Schools. So learn more about how to pursue your passions prior to graduation, and you can do this through career and technical education.
That is a great tagline that I want to put on a shirt, right? Students can take control of their career, and it starts here.
In DPS.
In DPS.
That's right.
Well, friends and families, this concludes our EDUCA DPS podcast for today. I want to give a big thank you to our guest, Dr. Jamie Fiorenza, for sharing this important information. I'd like to ask you all to please share this content and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Denver Public Schools Plus, where you can find great EDUCA content and all of our other multimedia productions that we mentioned here earlier. You can also find us on all of your major podcast platforms. Just search for the Denver Public Schools Podcast Network. We want to start off with our gratitude, and that goes out to the entire communications department, and a special shout out to George Alexander for co-producing this episode. I also want to give a big thank you to our very proud superintendent of Denver Public Schools, Dr. Alex Marrero, for his continued support to the EDUCA DPS Podcast Network and all of our multimedia productions. Don't forget to tune in to our next episode of the DPS podcast, where the learning journey continues. And remember to tell your children more often, I believe in you and I know you can do it. I'm Javier Ibarra. Until next time.